The choice. Lily closed her eyes against the intensity of Marcus's gaze, against the warmth of his hand on her cheek, against everything she'd been trying not to feel for 4 weeks. This is exactly what I was afraid of, she whispered. Getting too close, crossing lines, confusing gratitude with something else. This isn't gratitude. Marcus's voice was rough with emotion. And it's not confusion. Lily, I know what I'm feeling. I know it's complicated and messy and probably too soon. But it's real. You're real. What we've built here together, it's real. What we've built is professional relationship in an emotionally charged situation, Lily said, but her voice lacked conviction. She opened her eyes, forcing herself to meet his gaze. You're vulnerable right now. You're grieving. I've been here helping you through the worst period of your life. It's natural to develop feelings, but that doesn't mean. Don't. Marcus dropped his hand from her face, taking a step back. His expression shifted from vulnerable to guarded. Don't patronize me. Don't tell me what I'm feeling isn't real because it's inconvenient for you. I know I'm grieving. I know I'm still processing Elena's death. But I also know that what I feel for you isn't some trauma-induced attachment. It's more than that. Lily felt tears burning in her eyes. Elena died 4 months ago, Marcus. 4 months. You're still wearing your wedding ring. You have her photos all over this apartment. You talk to Sophia about her every single day. How can you possibly know what you're feeling when you're still so deep in grief? Because grief and love aren't mutually exclusive. Marcus's voice rose with frustration. Because I can miss my wife and still be falling for you. Because Elena's death doesn't mean my heart died with her, even though I wanted it to. You taught me that, Lily. You showed me that I could love Sophia while mourning Elena. Why is it so hard to believe I could have feelings you while still grieving my wife? The words hung between them, raw and honest and terrifying. Lily wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly cold despite the warmth of the apartment. Because I can't be Elena's replacement. I won't be the woman who steps into a dead wife's shoes, who tries to fill a hole that can never be filled. That's not fair to anyone, not to you, not to Sophia, and not to me. I'm not asking you to replace Elena, Marcus said, his voice gentler now. I'm asking you to be yourself, to stay, to give us a chance to see what this could become without the pressure of you being the nanny and me being the grieving client. Just Marcus and Lily, 2 people who've been through hell and found each other on the other side. Lily shook her head, fighting against everything in her that wanted to say yes. I can't. There's a 3-year-old boy who just lost both his parents. His grandparents are overwhelmed, and he's violent and nonverbal and suffering. He needs help. He needs me. And we don't. The question was quiet but loaded. You do, Lily admitted, but not in the same way. Sophia is thriving now. She's eating, engaging, smiling. The crisis has passed. You're bonded with her again, confident in your ability to care for her. You don't need a specialized nanny anymore. You just need consistent care. Someone to help with the daily routines. Mrs. Chun can do that. Any qualified nanny can do that. But that boy has grandparents. He has family. We don't. Marcus stopped himself, his face flushing. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. Lily's voice was sharp with pain. You meant that you and Sophia are alone. That I'm all you have. And Marcus, that's exactly why I need to leave. Because you're not thinking clearly. You're latching onto me because I was here during your darkest time. Because I helped you find your way back to your daughter. But that doesn't make me family. That makes me the person who did her job. Is that really what you think this is? Marcus looked at her with such hurt in his eyes that Lily almost broke. After everything we've shared, every conversation, every moment of connection, you really believe it's just me being confused and grateful? Lily forced herself to hold his gaze, to be honest even though it hurt. I think you're a good man who's been through unimaginable trauma. I think you're rebuilding your life, finding your footing as a single father, learning how to live with loss. And I think part of that process is reaching out for connection, for someone who understands your pain. I'm convenient, Marcus. I'm here. I'm safe. I helped save your daughter. But that doesn't make me right for you. What if you're wrong? Marcus's voice was barely above a whisper. What if this is real? And you're walking away from something that could be extraordinary because you're too scared to take the risk? The accusation hit home because it was partially true. Lily was scared, terrified, actually. Scared of staying and having her heartbroken when Marcus realized she was just a rebound from grief. Scared of leaving and wondering forever what might have been. Scared of letting herself love this broken family and losing them the way she'd lost everyone else she'd ever cared about. Maybe I am scared, she admitted, but I'm also practical. I've seen this before, Marcus.
grieving people who latch onto their caregiver, who confuse comfort with love.
It never ends well.
When the grief lifts, when life normalizes, they
Realize they don't actually want the person they just wanted, what that person represented. Safety, hope, a way through the darkness. You're not listening to me, Marcus said, frustration creeping back into his voice.
You're so convinced this fits some pattern you've seen that you're not hearing what I'm actually saying.
I'm not latching onto you.
I'm not confused. I'm falling in love with you, Lily. With your strength and your compassion and your terrible singing voice when you think no one's listening.
With the way you talk to Sophia like she's a person instead of a problem with your wisdom and your pain and your absolute refusal to give up on people even when they've given up on themselves, Lily felt her defenses crumbling. Marcus, please don't what? Don't tell you the truth.
Don't fight for something that matters. You keep talking about this other child who needs you. And yes, I'm sure he does.
But what about what you need, Lily? When do you get to stop
running from case to case, healing everyone else's families while never having one of your own?
The word struck like a physical blow.
Lily felt tears spill over, running hot down her cheeks.
That's not fair. Maybe not.
But it's true. Marcus moved closer again, his voice softening. You've spent 8 years helping traumatized children because you're still that 16-year-old girl who lost her sister. You're still trying to save Claire by saving everyone else.
But Lily, at some point, you have to let yourself be saved too.
You have to let yourself be happy. You have to let yourself stay. I don't know how, Lily confessed, her voice breaking. Everyone I've ever loved has left me. My parents, my sister, every family I've worked with.
I know how to help people and then leave before it hurts too much.
I don't know how to stay, then learn. Marcus's hands found her shoulders, his touch gentle but grounding. Stay with us, not as our nanny, but as part of our family.
Let us show you that not everyone leaves.
That some things are worth the risk of getting hurt. Lily looked up at him through her tears, seeing the hope and fear and love in his eyes.
She wanted so badly to say yes, to let herself fall into this possibility, to believe that she deserved this kind of happiness. But the phone in her pocket felt heavy with the weight of responsibility, with the knowledge that somewhere in the city, a 3-year-old boy was suffering. I need time, she said finally. I need to think about this without you standing here looking at me like that.
I need to figure out what's right not just for me, but for everyone involved. Marcus nodded slowly, disappointment evident on his face, but acceptance there too.
How much time?
I told Patricia I'd give her an answer tomorrow.
So,
tonight.
I need tonight to figure this out. And if you decide to leave, if you choose the other case,
Lily's heart clenched at the thought.
Then I'll stay for another 2 weeks. Help you find a replacement. Make sure the transition is smooth for Sophia. I wouldn't just disappear, Marcus.
I care about you both too much for that, but not enough to stay. It wasn't a question.
It's not about how much I care.
It's about what's right.
What's responsible? What serves the greater good? Marcus let out a bitter laugh. The greater good. Right.
Because God forbid Lily Parker does something just for herself. Something that makes her happy instead of martyring herself for them.
Next broken family. The accusation stuck because there was truth in.
Lily had built her entire adult life around helping others, around being needed and useful and essential, but only temporarily.
Never permanently. Never in a way that required her to be vulnerable, to risk being hurt, to invest in relationships that might end in loss. I need to check on Sophia, she said, needing to escape this conversation before she said something she couldn't take back.
She should be waking up soon.
Marcus let her go, stepping aside so she could move past him.
But as she reached the nursery door, his voice stopped her. Lily,
whatever you decide, I want you to know something. You saved us, both of us. Even if you leave, even if this ends tomorrow, you gave me back my daughter.
You gave me back my life.
I'll never be able to thank you enough for that. Lily nodded, not trusting herself to speak, and slipped into the nursery. Sophia was indeed stirring, her small face scrunching up with the
beginnings of waking. Lily picked her up carefully, holding her close, breathing in that sweet baby smell that had become so familiar.
What should I do, little one? She whispered into Sophia's soft hair.
Do I stay with you and your daddy, even though it scares me? Or do I do what I've always done and move on to the next family that needs help? Sophia looked up at her with those grey-green eyes, Elena's eyes, and smiled.
Not the tentative smiles from the park, but a real, full smile of recognition and affection. A smile that said, I know you, I love you, you are mine.
And Lily's heart, that careful, guarded, self-protecting heart, cracked wide open.
because she'd already made her choice, really. She'd made it weeks ago, the first moment Sophia's tiny fingers had wrapped around hers. She'd made it every time Marcus opened up to her. Every time they worked together to coax Sophia back to life. Every time she felt more at home in this penthouse than she'd ever felt anywhere else. The question wasn't whether to stay or go. The question was whether she was brave enough to admit what she wanted, whether she could set aside the fears and the professional ethic, the voice in her head telling her this was all moving too fast, whether she could choose happiness and hope and love instead of responsibility and duty and the safety of never getting too attached. That night, after Sophia was asleep and Mrs. Chun had gone home, Lily found Marcus in the living room, staring out at the city lights with a glass of whiskey he wasn't drinking. She stood in the doorway for a long moment, watching him, memorizing the line of his shoulders and the way the light caught in his dark hair.
I called Patricia, she said quietly.
Marcus turned, his face carefully neutral. And I told her I couldn't take the case, that I was committed here for at least another month, possibly longer, that she'd need to find someone else. The hope that flooded Marcus's expression was so intense it
was almost painful to witness. You're staying? I'm staying, Lily confirmed, and felt the rightness of it settle into her bones.
Not because you asked me to,
Not because of Sophia, though I love her,
but because for the first time in 8 years, I want to stay somewhere. I want to see what happens next.
I want to take the risk. Marcus crossed the room in 3 strides, pulling her into his arms with a desperation that spoke to how much he'd feared losing her. Lily let herself melt in
Embrace. Let herself feel wanted and needed and home. Thank you. Marcus breathed into her hair.
Thank you for choosing us.
For choosing this. I'm terrified, Lily admitted against his chest.
I don't know how to do this.
How to be part of a family instead of just helping one. Then we'll figure it out together, Marcus said.
We're good at that, figuring things out together. We brought Sophia back from the edge.
We can handle anything, and standing there in the quiet penthouse, wrapped in each other's arms, they both chose to believe it. Building a family, the shift from nanny to something more was both subtle and seismic.
Lily still woke early to help with Sophia's morning routine, still prepared bottles and changed diapers and sang lullaby. But now Marcus joined them for breakfast instead of hiding in his office. Now their hands would brush as they passed toys, and they'd share looks of understanding when Sophia did something particularly adorable.
Now the touches lingered, conversations deepened, and the space between them felt charged with possibility.
3 weeks after Lily's decision to stay, Marcus suggested they celebrate Sophia's progress with a proper dinner, not takeout eaten standing in the kitchen, but an actual meal at the dining table that hadn't been used since Elena's death.
Are you sure?
Lily had asked, understanding the significance.
The dining room was filled with memories of Marcus and Elena's life together, dinner party, quiet evenings, the life that had been stolen.
I'm sure, Marcus had said, his voice steady. It's time to make new memories.
Better memories.
Ones that include you. So Mrs. Chun had prepared a beautiful meal, set the table with care, and discreetly left for the evening. Marcus lit candles while Lily settled Sophia in her high chair with finger foods to explore.
The scene was achingly domestic, almost painfully normal, exactly what Lily had always run from, and exactly what she now wanted most.
To new
beginnings, Marcus said, raising his wine glass.
To second chances, Lily countered, clinking her glass against his.
They ate slowly, talking about everything and nothing. Marcus told her about his company, about the projects he'd been neglecting that he was finally ready to re-engage with.
Lily shared stories from other cases she'd worked, though she was careful not to name families or breach confidentiality. They debated whether Sophia would be more like her analytical father or her creative
mother, agreed she'd probably be a perfect combination of both. Sophia babbled throughout the meal, smearing sweet potato on her face and occasionally throwing pieces of banana that Marcus pretended to be outraged about. She'd gained another pound, the pediatrician had confirmed. Her motor skills were improving daily. Just that morning, she'd pulled herself to standing for the first time, gripping the edge of her crib and looking shocked by her own accomplishment.
I wish Elena could see her,
Marcus said suddenly, his voice thick with emotion. She'd be so proud.
Sophia's exactly who Elena hoped she'd be, strong and resilient and full of life. Lily reached across the table, taking his hand. Tell her. Tell Elena.
I think it's important that we don't pretend she didn't exist.
That we honor her memory even as we build something new. Marcus looked at her with such gratitude that Lily felt her throat tighten.
You're amazing. You know that most women would be uncomfortable talking about my dead wife, would want to erase her from our lives so they could take her place. I'm not trying to take her place, Lily said firmly.
Elena was Sophia's mother. She was your wife, your partner, your love.
Nothing changes that. I'm the person who came after.
The one who gets to love you both because she did first. We're building something new, not replacing something old. How did you get so wise? Marcus asked, his thumb stroking the back of her hand.
8 years.
Of watching families navigate impossible situations.
You learn that love isn't finite.
That new relationships don't diminish old ones.
That people are capable of holding joy and grief simultaneously. She paused, then added softly, and I had Claire, my sister. After she died, I was so angry at Rachel for adopting Maya. Felt like she was trying to replace Claire as Maya's mother. But Rachel taught me the same thing I'm telling you now, that loving Maya didn't mean forgetting Claire. That Maya
needed love from wherever she could get it, and it didn't diminish what Claire had been. Marcus squeezed her hand. I want to meet them, Maya and Rachel. If that's okay with you, I want to know the people who shaped you into who you are. The suggestion made Lily's heart flutter with a mixture of joy and nervousness.
Introducing Marcus and Sophia to her family felt significant, like crossing a threshold she couldn't uncross.
But wasn't that what she'd chosen?
To stop running, to build roots, to let people matter. I'd like that, she said. Maya's been asking about my new family anyway. She's 12 now, old enough to understand complex situations.
I think she'd love Sophia. New family, Marcus repeated, testing the words.
Is that what we are?
Lily met his eyes across the candlelit table. I think we're becoming one.
Slowly, carefully.
But yes.
I think we are. After dinner, they moved to the living room while Sophia played on her mat with soft blocks, knocking them over with increasing confidence. Marcus and Lily sat on the couch, close but not quite touching, both aware of the tension building between them. They'd been careful these past weeks, keeping things platonic, focusing on Sophia and the day-to-day routines.
But the attraction was undeniable. The pull magnetic. Lily, Marcus began, then seemed to lose his nerve.
What is it?
I want to kiss you. I've wanted to for weeks now, but I didn't want to rush things. Didn't want to make you feel pressured or
uncomfortable.
I know this situation is complicated, with you living here and caring for Sophia.
I know we're still figuring out what this is between us. But tonight, sitting across from you at that table, watching you with my daughter, He ran his hand through his hair in frustration.
I don't know what I'm saying. You're saying you want to kiss me, Lily said, her heart racing.
And for the record, I want that too.
I have for a while now. Marcus turned to face her fully, his hand coming up to cup her cheek in that gesture that had become familiar.
Are you sure?
Because once we cross this line, there's no going back to how things were. We can't pretend it's just professional anymore. I don't want to pretend, Lily whispered.
I'm tired of being careful.
Tired of protecting myself.
I want to see where this goes, Marcus.
I want to take the risk. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted.
But Lily didn't want to pull away.
She wanted this wanted.
Him with an intensity that should have frightened her, but instead felt like coming home. When their lips met, it was soft and tentative at first, both of them testing the waters of this new dynamic.
But then Marcus's hand moved to her hair. Lily's fingers curled his shirt, and the kiss deepened into something that felt like promise and hope and healing all at once.
They broke apart when Sophia made a demanding sound, both of them laughing as they turned to find her holding up a block.
Expectantly, clearly wanting acknowledgement for her achievement.
Sorry, baby girl, Marcus said, his voice slightly breathless. Daddy got distracted for a minute there. Just a minute.
Lily teased, standing to go to Sophia. I must be losing my touch. Marcus caught her hand, pulling her back for one more quick kiss.
Trust me, you are not losing anything.
Quite the opposite. The next few weeks passed in a haze of stolen moments and growing intimacy.
They'd kiss in the kitchen while Sophia
napped, hold hands while reading her bedtime stories, exchange looks loaded with meaning across the nursery.
They were careful to keep things appropriate around the baby, but everyone in the household could feel the shift misses. Jen started smiling more. The apartment felt lighter. Even Sophia seemed to pick up on the happiness permeating the space. But happiness, Lily had learned, was always complicated by reality. And reality came knocking one morning in the form of Marcus's assistant, David, appearing at the penthouse with an urgent request. The board needs you to come in, David said, his expression apologetic.
There's been a development with the Thorne merger.
They need your input today or the deal falls through. Marcus looked torn, glancing between David, Sophia, and Lily.
I can't just leave. I haven't been to the office in months. I don't even remember what the Thorne merger is about. It's worth $200 million, and it's been your pet project for 2 years.
David said patiently. Marcus, I know you've been through hell. We all understand that. But the company needs you. Your employees need you.
You can't stay in this apartment forever. Lily saw the panic flicker across Marcus's face. He'd built his entire world around this penthouse, around Sapphire, around the cocoon of safety they'd created.
Leaving meant facing everything he'd been avoiding, colleagues who'd pity him, responsibilities he'd abandoned, the relentless pace of a life that had moved on. Without him,
Go, Lily said softly.
we'll be fine. Sapphire and I will be here when you get back. What if she needs me? What if something happens?
Then I'll call you, and you'll come home.
Marcus, you can't put your entire life on hold forever. Sapphire's doing well.
You're doing well. It's time to start reclaiming the parts of yourself that existed before the grief. Marcus looked at his daughter, who was contentedly playing with a set of stacking cups, oblivious to the adult drama unfolding.
Around her.
What if I can't do it? What if I get there and fall apart?
Then you fall apart, and we pick up the pieces together, Lily said. But I don't think you will. I think you're stronger than you realize. You've been building that strength every day. Every time you show up for Sapphire. Every time you choose to keep going.
This is just the next step. So Marcus to the office, and Lily spent the day with Sapphire trying not to worry about how he was handling it.
She needn't have worried.
When Marcus returned that evening, he looked exhausted, but also energized in a way she hadn't seen before. It was good, he said, sweeping Sapphire up into his arms and kissing her cheek.
Really good. Overwhelming. Yes. Emotional. Definitely. But good.
People were understanding.
Kind.
They're excited to have me back. He looked at Lily over Sapphire's head. I couldn't have done this without you.
Without knowing you were here, that Sapphire was safe, that I had something solid to come home.
2. You gave me the courage to step back into my life. You gave yourself that courage, Lily corrected. I just held space for you to find it that night after Sapphire was asleep. Marcus asked Lily to sit with him on the terrace overlooking the city.
The November air was cold, but they wrapped themselves in blankets and sat close, watching the lights twinkle below.
I've been thinking, Marcus said.
About what comes next. For all of us. What have you been thinking?
Lily asked, though her heart was already racing with anticipation and fear in equal measure. That I want this to be permanent. Not the nanny arrangement, I want you to be part of our family officially.
I want to date you properly, take you out, introduce you as my girlfriend instead of Sapphire's caregiver. I want to build a life with you, Lily. If you'll let me. Lily felt tears prick her eyes.
That's a big step.
Are you sure you're ready? It's only been 5 months since Elena died. I know.
And I'm not saying I'm done grieving.
I'll probably never be done grieving.
But I also know that life is short and fragile and can end in an instant. I don't want to waste the time I have being scared or hiding or waiting for the right moment.
You're right for me.
Right for Sapphire.
Right for us.
And if you feel the same way, then I don't want to wait. Lily thought about all her rules, all her careful boundaries, all the ways she'd protected herself over the years. And then she thought about Marcus reading to Sapphire, about their candlelit dinner, about the way he kissed her like she was precious.
About the family they'd already become without even trying. I feel the same way, she said.
And yes, I want this too. All of it. Shadows and light. 6 months after Lily first walked through the door of the Thorne penthouse, spring arrived in New York with a vengeance. The city burst into bloom, trees lining the streets suddenly green and alive, tulips pushing up through the soil in Central Park.
It felt
symbolic, this renewal, this reminder that life persisted even after the coldest winters.
Sapphire was thriving in ways that felt miraculous.
At 14 months old, she was walking stumbling, really, with that adorable toddler wobble and saying a handful of words. Dada, and loyally her version of Lily. No, and more. She laughed constant, a sound that never failed to bring tears to Marcus's eyes.
Dr. Morrison had declared her completely recovered, her failure to thrive diagnosis officially. In the past,
she was, by every measure, a normal, healthy, happy toddler. But happiness, Lily had learned, was never uncomplicated.
Especially when it was built on the foundation of loss. The complications began on a Tuesday morning when Marcus received a call from his lawyer. The drunk driver who'd killed Elena, a 23-year-old named Connor Walsh, was being sentenced that week. Marcus's presence at the hearing was optional, but encouraged by the district attorney.
They wanted him to give a victim impact statement, to speak about what had been taken from him and Sapphire. Lily found Marcus in his office that afternoon, staring at nothing, the same vacant expression she hadn't seen in months. I don't know if I can do it, he said when he noticed her in the doorway. Stand in front of that kid and talk about Elena, about what he took from us.
Part of me wants him to rot in prison forever.
But another part, he shook his head.
Another part knows it was an accident.
A stupid, preventable accident, but an accident nonetheless.
He didn't wake up that morning planning to kill someone. Lily moved to sit beside him, taking his hand. What do you want to do?
I want Elena back. I want Sophia to have her mother. I want to erase the past year and have our old life back. His voice broke. But since I can't have any of that, I don't know what I want. Do you want closure? Lily asked gently.
A chance to tell anyone, what this has cost you. Marcus was quiet for a
long time.
Then, maybe I'm afraid that if I go to that courthouse, if I see the person responsible for destroying everything, I'll realize I haven't healed as much as I think I have, that I'll fall apart again. You won't fall apart, Lily said with certainty. Or if you do, you'll come back together.
You know how now.
You've done it before. The day of the sentencing, Marcus asked Lily to come with him. I need you there, he said. I need to know that when I walk out of that courthouse, you and Sophia are waiting.
That I have something to come back to. So Lily arranged for Mrs. Chun to watch Sophia, and she accompanied Marcus to the downtown courthouse on a grey spring morning that matched the heaviness in both their hearts.
The courtroom was stark and institutional, filled with people whose lives had intersected with tragedy. Connor Walsh's family, his lawyer, victim's advocate, court official, and Marcus, sitting in the front row, holding Lily's hand so tightly. She could feel her bones grinding together. Connor Walsh was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, looking impossibly young and devastated. His eyes were red-rimmed. His shoulders slumped her with the weight of what he'd done.
When he saw Marcus, he visibly flinched, shame radiating from every pore.
The judge was a stern woman in her 60s who'd clearly heard every excuse and seen every tragedy the legal system had to offer. She reviewed the facts with clinical precision. Connor had been driving under the influence, blood alcohol level twice the legal limit.
He'd run a red light at 60 miles per hour.
He'd killed Elena Thorne instantly.
He'd then called 911, stayed at the scene, and been completely cooperative with law enforcement.
It was his first offense.
He'd pleaded guilty, expressed profound remorse, attended ear meetings while awaiting sentencing. Mr. Thorne, the judge said, looking directly at Marcus.
Would you like to make a statement before I pass sentence? Marcus
stood on shaking legs, and Lily watched him walk to the podium with her heart in her throat. He'd written something, she knew, but he wasn't looking at his notes.
He was looking at Connor Walsh. My wife, Elena, was brilliant, Marcus began, his voice steady but thick with emotion.
She was a pediatric surgeon. She saved children's lives for a living.
The day she died, she'd just finished a 12-hour surgery on a 7-year-old with a congenital heart defect. The child is alive today because of
Elena's skill and dedication.
Elena came home exhausted, kissed our daughter, kissed me, and went out to pick up dinner because I'd been working late and we had nothing in the house. He paused, gathering himself. She never made it to the restaurant.
You hit her at the intersection of Broadway and 74th.
You were drunk, texting, going twice the speed limit. You killed her instantly, which I suppose I should be grateful for. At least she didn't suffer.
But her death created a suffering that,
beyond anything I can adequately express. Marcus's hands gripped the podium.
Our daughter was 6 months old.
She was so traumatized by losing her mother that she stopped eating, stopped engaging with life.
She was diagnosed with failure to thrive. At 9 months old, my daughter was choosing to die rather than live in a world without her mother.
That's what your choices did, Mr. Walsh. You didn't just kill one person. You nearly killed two. Connor Walsh was crying openly, his shoulders shaking. But Marcus wasn't finished.
I want to hate you.
God knows I've tried. I've spent hours imagining what I'd say to you, how I'd make you understand the magnitude of what you took from us. But the truth is, hating you doesn't bring Elena back. It doesn't ease my pain or heal my daughter. It just adds more darkness to a situation that's already consumed by it. Marcus finally looked at his notes, his voice softening. Elena believed in second chances. She believed people were capable of change, of redemption, of becoming better than their worst moments. So I'm going to honor her memory by saying this. I hope you spend your time in prison thinking about the life you took. I hope you never drink again, never get behind the wheel impaired, never make another choice that could hurt someone. I hope you become the kind of person Elena would have believed you could be. Because that's the only good that can possibly come from this tragedy. You change, and in changing, you make sure no other family has to go through what we did. He turned to the judge.
I'm not asking for leniency. I'm not asking for maximum punishment either.
I'm asking for whatever sentence you believe will serve justice and protect the public.
But I'm also asking that somewhere in that sentence, There's room for this young man to become better than the person he was on July 15th, because that's what Elena would have wanted. Marcus returned to his seat, and Lily wrapped her arm around him, feeling
him tremble with the release of months of bottled emotion. Around them, there wasn't a dry eye in the courtroom. Even the judge looked affected, blinking rapidly as she reviewed her notes.
Connor Walsh was sentenced to 8 years, eligible for parole and 5 with good behavior.
It was less than the maximum, more than the minimum, and seemed to satisfy no one completely, which, the judge noted, was often the mark of a fair sentence. As they left the courthouse, Connor Walsh's mother approached them in the hallway. She was a thin woman with kind eyes and a face ravaged by guilt and grief for what her son had done.
"Mr. Thorne," she said, her voice barely above a whisper,
"I know there's nothing I can say that will make this better.
nothing that will bring your wife back or undo the pain my son caused. But I need you to know that I'm sorry.
So desperately sorry, and I promise you, Connor will never drink again.
I'll make sure of it.
Whatever time he has to serve, whatever it takes, he'll come out of this a better person. Your wife's death won't be meaningless. I swear it." Marcus looked at this woman, this mother, bearing the guilt of her child's actions, and Lily saw something shift in his expression. A softening, a recognition of shared humanity in the face of tragedy.
"Make sure he gets help," Marcus said finally.
Real help, not just for the drinking, but for the guilt.
"Because he's going to carry this for the rest of his life, and without proper support, it'll destroy
him, and that won't honor Elena's memory either." The woman nodded, tears streaming down her face, and walked away to comfort her own son, leaving Marcus and Lily alone in the courthouse hallway. "You were amazing in there," Lily said as they walked to the car.
The way you spoke about Elena, the way you balanced justice and compassion, she would have been so proud of you. Marcus was quiet until they were in the car, away from prying eyes and listening. Then he turned to Lily, his face wet with tears. "I don't know if I did the right thing. Part of me feels like I should have demanded the maximum sentence, should have made him pay for every second of pain I've experienced."
But Elena, he shook his head.
Elena would have seen a kid who made a terrible mistake. She would have wanted him to have a chance at redemption. "Then you did exactly the right thing," Lily assured him.
You honored your wife's values while also honoring your own pain. That's not easy, Marcus. That takes
incredible strength. They sat in the parking garage for a long time, Marcus crying for the first time since the funeral.
Not the quiet, stoic tears he'd shed in the nursery, but deep, nerve-wracking sobs that shook his entire body.
Lily held him through it, rubbing his back and murmuring comfort, letting him release months of pent-up grief and rage and confusion. When he finally calmed, he looked at her with red-rimmed eyes and said, "I love you.
I know it's complicated. I know it's soon, I know.
There's so much we're still figuring out.
But I love you, Lily.
You've given me a reason to keep living when I wanted to give up.
You've shown me that life can still be beautiful, even after unimaginable loss. I love you, and I needed to say it.
Today of all days, I needed you to know." Lily felt her own tears spill over. "I love you too.
So much it scares me."
Because loving someone means risking this. She gestured vaguely toward the courthouse, toward everything they'd just experienced, means
risking loss and pain and heartbreak. But I'm choosing it anyway.
I am choosing you, and Sophia, and this life we're building.
Even knowing how fragile it all is, they kissed in the parking garage, tasting salt and relief, and the beginning of something that felt like healing. Not the erasure of pain that would never come, but the integration of it. The acceptance that joy and sorrow could coexist, that loving again didn't diminish what was lost, that building a future didn't mean abandoning the past.
When they returned to the penthouse, Sophia was napping, and Mrs. Chun tactfully excused herself.
Marcus and Lily stood in the nursery doorway, watching the little girl who'd brought them together, who'd given them both a reason to fight through their respective darknesses.
"She looks like Elena when she sleeps," Marcus whispered. "The same peaceful expression. Sometimes I can almost convince myself that Elena's still here, just in the other room, about to walk in and scoop her up. Tell
me about her," Lily said. Not for the first time, and not for the last.
Because she'd learned that keeping Elena's memory alive wasn't a threat to their new relationship. It was essential to it. Sophia needed to know her mother, and Marcus needed to remember that his love for Elena and his love for Lily weren't in competition. The future they choose 1 year after Lily first walked through the door. The Thorne penthouse had transformed in ways both visible and invisible.
The curtains stayed open,
now flooding the space with light.
Music played regularly, everything from classical to pop to the children's songs Sophia demanded on repeat.
Elena's photographs still lined the walls, but new ones had joined them. Sophia's first steps, A family photo of Marcus, Lily, and Sophia at the park. Candid shots of their evolving life together. It was Sophia's second birthday party, and the penthouse was filled with people for the first time since Elena's funeral.
Maya and Rachel had come from Boston. Dr. Morrison and his wife were there.
Mrs. Chen had invited her daughter, and even some of Marcus's colleagues from Thorne Technologies had shown up with their children.
The living room was chaos, toddlers running everywhere, presents piled high, a pink and gold birthday cake shaped like a crown sitting on the dining table.
Lily stood in the kitchen, surveying the organized chaos with a mixture of joy and disbelief.
This was her life now. This family, this home, these people.
She'd spent so many years moving from case to case, never staying long enough to attend birthday parties or become part of celebration. Now, she was at the center of one, helping coordinate games and cutting cake and belonging in a way she'd never imagined possible.
There you are. Marcus appeared behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist and resting his chin on her shoulder. You disappeared.
Everything okay? Everything's perfect, Lily said, leaning back into his embrace.
I was just taking a moment to appreciate how much has changed in a year ago today.
Sophia smiled for the first time since Elena died. Marcus said softly.
At a dock in Central Park, and I realized I was falling in love with the woman who'd helped save both our lives. Lily turned in his arms to face him. A year ago today, I made the scariest decision of my life to stay, to risk getting hurt, to believe that I deserved happiness too. Any regrets?
Marcus asked, though his eyes suggested he already knew them.
Answer, not a single one. Lily kissed him softly, marveling at how natural it had become, this affection between them.
Well, maybe one regret that we didn't do this sooner. We did it exactly when we were supposed to, Marcus countered.
We both needed time to heal, to figure out who we were after loss. If we'd rushed things, it wouldn't have worked. They were interrupted by Sophia toddling into the kitchen, her new pink tutu already stained with frosting, her face lit up with joy. L.I.L.D.
Dada?
Cake. We just gave you cake, silly girl, Lily said, scooping Sophia up.
You have it all over your face. More cake.
Sophia demanded, because at 2 years old, her vocabulary had expanded significantly, mostly to demand things more articulately.
No more cake until after dinner, Marcus said, tickling her stomach. But how about we open some presents instead?
Sophia's eyes went wide with excitement. Presents. They returned to the living room where Maya, now 13 and poised in that way teenagers sometimes achieved, was organizing the younger children into a circle. She'd become a fixture in their lives over the past year, visiting monthly and video chatting with Sophia weekly. The bond between them was beautiful, Maya treating Sophia like the little sister she'd never had, Sophia looking up to Maya with obvious adoration. Ready for presents? Maya asked, her smile so much like Claire's that Lily sometimes had to look away from the bittersweet ache of it. The present opening was predictably chaotic. Sophia tore through wrapping paper with toddler enthusiasm, delighted by everything from books to blocks to a small play kitchen that Marcus had insisted on despite Lily's protests that it was too much. But the gift that stopped everyone was the last one, a large, carefully wrapped package that Marcus brought out from his office.
This one's special, he said, settling on the floor next to Sophia.
It's from your mama. The room went quiet.
Lily felt her
heart clench as Marcus carefully unwrapped the package, revealing a beautiful wooden box with Elena's handwriting on top, Sophia on her second birthday. Love, Mama. Elena made this,
Lily whispered, moving closer.
Before Sophia was born, Marcus explained, his voice thick with emotion. She had this whole plan. She'd made boxes for different milestones. First birthday, second, 5th, 10th, graduation. She'd filled them with letters, photos, small gifts, things she wanted Sophia to have at
different ages. He opened the box carefully, revealing its contents. A letter addressed to Sophia, a silver bracelet with Sophia Grace engraved on it, photos of Elena pregnant and glowing, a recording device.
Marcus pressed play on the device, and suddenly Elena's voice filled the room, warm, musical, alive. Happy second birthday, my darling girl. If you're hearing this, I'm probably standing right next to you, watching you open presents and being amazed that my baby is already 2 years old.
But just in case, I'm not just in case life has taken an unexpected turn, I wanted to make sure you heard these words. Lily felt tears streaming down her face as Elena's voice continued, talking about her hopes and dreams for Sophia, about how much she loved her, about advice for navigating life's challenges.
Around them, everyone was crying happy tears and sad tears mixing together in that way that only happens when past and present collide.
Whatever happens in your life, Sophia, Remember
that you are loved beyond measure by me, by your daddy, and by whatever family surrounds you on this day.
love multiplies, it never divides.
So if there are new people in your life who love you, that's not instead of my love. It's in addition to it. Let them in. Baby girl, let them love you. That's what I want most of all. When the recording ended, the silence was profound.
Sapphire, not fully understanding but sensing the importance, looked up at Marcus with wide eyes.
Mama? Yes, baby. Marcus said, his voice breaking. That was your mama. She loved you so much. More than anything in the world. Sapphire looked at the box, then at Marcus, then at Lily. With the logic only a toddler could possess, she picked up the bracelet and held it out to Lily. Pretty.
For little Lee. No, sweetheart, Lily said through her tears.
That's yours. From your mama. Share, Sapphire insisted, because that was the word they'd been teaching her lately.
Mama says love.
Share love. The simple
Statement broke something open in the room.
Maya came over and hugged Lily.
Rachel wiped her eyes.
Marcus pulled both Lily and Sapphire into his arms, holding them close.
Later, after the party had ended and Sapphire was asleep in her crib, exhausted from excitement and sugar, Marcus and Lily sat on the terrace watching the city lights.
Lily was wearing Elena's bracelet Sapphire had insisted, and it had felt wrong to refuse a 2-year-old's interpretation of her mother's message about love. Multiplying. I hope that was okay, Marcus said, gesturing to the bracelet. Elena would have wanted you to have something of hers.
She really would have. She believed in exactly what she said on that recording, that love multiplies. It feels like a blessing, Lily admitted. Like Elena saying it's okay for me to love you both.
I know that sounds crazy, she's gone. She can't give permission, but it doesn't sound crazy, Marcus interrupted. It sounds exactly right.
Elena was planning for
every contingency, even the one where she wasn't here.
That box, that recording, it was her way of making sure Sapphire knew she was loved. Yes, but also her way of telling whoever stepped into her shoes that they had her blessing. Lily twisted the bracelet on her wrist, feeling its weight.
I'll never be her mother. I'll never try to be.
But I love Sapphire like she's mine.
I hope that's enough. It's more than enough.
It's everything. Marcus took her hand, and Lily noticed he'd stopped wearing
his wedding ring a few months ago, not erasing Elena, but acknowledging that he was building a new life.
Lily, I have something I need to ask you. Her heart started racing because she knew that tone, that expression.
Marcus, I know it's only been a year.
I know people will say it's too soon, that I'm not thinking clearly, that I should wait.
But I've learned something from losing Elena. Life is too short and too fragile to wait for perfect timing. You're the woman I want to build a future with. You're the mother I want raising Sapphire alongside me. You're my partner, my love, my second chance at happiness that I never thought I'd have. He pulled a small box from his pocket, and Lily felt the world tilt.
I'm not asking you to replace Elena.
I'm asking you to be yourself, to be the incredible woman you are, and to officially become part of our family.
Lily Parker, would you marry me? Lily looked at the ring, a sapphire surrounded by small diamonds, nothing like Elena's ring.
Uniquely chosen for her, and felt 1,000 emotions crash over her. Fear, joy, love, uncertainty, hope.
A year ago, she would have run from this, would have found reasons why it couldn't work, why it was too complicated, why she needed to protect herself. But she'd learned something too over the past year.
She'd learned that love was worth the risk,
that family didn't have to be perfect to be real, that second chances existed, even after unimaginable loss. Yes, she said, her voice strong and
certain.
Yes, I'll marry you.
I'll be Sapphire's stepmother. I'll be part of this family.
Yes to all of it. Marcus slipped the ring onto her finger, then pulled her into a kiss that tasted like promise and possibility and the future they'd fought so hard to build.
When they pulled apart, they heard a sound from inside Sapphire, awake and calling for them.
Duty calls, Lily said with a laugh, wiping her eyes. They went to the nursery together, finding Sapphire standing in her crib, holding the stuffed elephant that had been Elena's favorite toy to give her. Dada, little Lee, love you. It was the first time she'd said those words unprompted, and both adults felt their hearts expand to accommodate the moment.
Marcus picked Sapphire up while Lily rubbed her back, and they stood there in the soft lamplight, a family that had been broken and rebuilt into something new.
We love you too, baby girl, Marcus said.
So much. As they rocked Sapphire back to sleep, Lily thought about the journey that had brought them here.
About a billionaire who'd given up on life, a baby who'd refused to thrive, and a nanny who'd learned to stay. About grief and healing, loss and love, ending and beginning. About how sometimes the worst moments in life led to the most unexpected blessing. She thought about Elena, who she'd never meet but whose presence was woven into everything in her life. About Claire, her sister, who taught her that love was stronger than loss. About all the broken families
she'd helped over the years, and how this broken family had helped her in return. And she thought about the future birthdays and holidays, first days of school and graduations, the ordinary miracles of raising a child and building a life with someone you love.
It wouldn't always be easy.
Grief would resurface in unexpected moments.
There would be challenges and setbacks and days when the loss felt overwhelming, but they would face it together.
Marcus, Lily, and Sophia.
A family built not on
Perfection, but on resilience. Not on forgetting, but on honoring.
not on replacing what was lost, but on creating something new alongside the memory of what had been.
As Sophia's breathing evened out in sleep,
Marcus, thank you for walking through that door a year ago.
thank you for not giving up on us.
Thank you for teaching us how to live again. Thank you for letting me stay, Lily whispered back.
Thank you for giving me a home. Thank you for choosing me. Always, Marcus. Promised. From now on, always. And in that moment, in a nursery filled with yellow light and quiet love, a family that had almost ended found its new beginning. The billionaire who'd given up on life had found his reason to keep living.
The baby who'd refused to thrive was laughing and growing and loved beyond measure.
And the woman who'd walked in to save them both had discovered that sometimes
The people you help end up saving you right back. Outside the window, the city sparkled. A million lives being lived, a million stories unfolding, a million hearts breaking and healing and daring to hope again. And in one penthouse on the 47th floor, 3 people who'd survived the unsurvivable chose to believe in tomorrow. Because that's what love does. It gives you a reason to keep going. It shows you that joy and sorrow can coexist.
it teaches you that endings aren't final, they're just the beginning of something new. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, love walks through your door when you need it most, refuses to give up on you, and shows you that life beautiful, painful, precious life is always worth fighting for.